Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today is a very special day because I have here a very special person who is going to educate us about coffee. But before we're going to share about his amazing in-depth knowledge about coffee, we're gonna get to know him first. So, could you please introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Asher Yaron. Not born with that name. I chose it later on in my life.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, I had an experience and I decided that I had changed. And to reflect that change,
You had to change your
I
name too.
changed my name. And it was such a pain in the butt to do that because you have to do it on all your documents.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's really, really.
Is it worth it?
I don't know.
But how old were you
But
when
anyway,
you tried to change?
I think I was 35.
Okay.
Yeah, when I changed.
Wow. So it's like a second life.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
May I know what's the first name was?
Alan.
Alan.
A-L-L-E-N. Spelled
Okay.
A-L-L-E-N.
Asher is way cooler.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah, I
like
like
cooler.
Asher.
Okay, and where are you from?
I'm from the U.S. I grew up in Princeton, New Jersey.
New Jersey.
But I lived all around the U.S. and emigrated to Southeast Asia from Southern Oregon back in 2010.
Wow.
So I've been in this area of the world for the last 15 years.
Wow, it's been a while.
Yeah.
And which part of Southeast Asia you went to first?
Actually, I went to Bali, Indonesia first.
Bali.
Yep, Ubud, Bali.
Okay.
And I was there with my wife at the time, and we had an adopted daughter from China.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we adopted her when she was 8 months old.
Oh.
So at that time, she was 6, and she went to the Green School in Bali,
Okay.
which is a very unique kind of school, all made out of
school.
bamboo, and they
Okay.
teach sustainability. It was a really good environment for her.
That's very
And
cool.
so we were there for quite a while until the COVID
Okay.
in 2020, and then I was in Bali and had to leave because I had 3 cafes, I had a roastery, I had a booming business there, but when the pandemic, I call it, hit, then I had to leave. I couldn't sustain myself anymore. And actually, but it was a good time because my mom, who was, see, 90 years old at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, she was having some difficulties, Alzheimer's,
Oh.
dementia, stuff like that. So I went back to New Jersey, the house I grew up in, to take care of her, be her sole provider for a couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah. But then after that, came back here to the Philippines because my partner Janice, we have been together since 2015. So we met actually when I was in Bali. We met online. And we've been together for that long. And she was here, so I decided instead of going back to Bali, I'd come here.
Okay. And that's why you're here.
That's why I'm here. I'm happy to be here.
That's good.
I'm glad
but
I made that decision.
That's okay. That's good. That's good. But did you go to other places of the Philippines? Is Janice from here?
Janice is from Manhuyot.
Manhuyod.
Yeah,
Oh,
Campuyo.
beautiful place.
Yeah.
Beautiful place, Manhuyod.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why. So I think it's worth it now to be here.
Yeah. So and we chose Valencia because
Yeah.
to do coffee business. I saw that this really had the feeling of Ubud, Bali, like 20 years ago.
Okay, I
There
see.
hadn't been the good coffee or good cafes or roasteries.
It's hard to find real coffee here. I mean, this is the first actually.
Well, the thing is, they grow coffee. They grow. This is one of the only countries in the world that grow all 4 types of coffee.
4 types.
4 types: Arabica, Robusta,
Okay.
something called Liberica, and
Okay.
Excelsa.
They have it here?
Yes.
Wow.
And it's one of the only countries in the world that has 4 species of coffee.
Okay.
The Excelsa and the Liberica have been cross-pollinated, so it's hard to tell the difference between those. But the Liberica and Excelsa is really very unique. Has a unique taste. Can grow much easier. The cherries are like at least twice as big as the Robusta Arabica cherries. It's very interesting. So recently, 3 years ago now, this summer, we planted 600 Liberica trees up at Janice's family land in Pamplona.
Oh, okay, so you are also planting
So yeah, we want to grow our
your own
coffee and do
That's
everything
amazing.
from the cherry to
Oh,
the
that's
cup.
amazing.
Because then the growing, the processing, the roasting, the serving, everything.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
that's the idea.
Yeah. So right now you are starting already to plant the coffee, and then but what's your source of coffee right now? But which type of the four that you are like
The
roasting?
Liberica.
The Liberica.
And the reason we planted the Liberica is because the premier coffee is Arabica.
Yeah.
Problem with
that's
the
only one I know.
Arabica, it only grows at high elevation. You need 900 meters or above
Oh, 900
to
meters
grow.
above to
Right.
grow.
And there's not that many places here in the Philippines that have that kind of elevation where they can grow a lot of Arabica. So mostly here you find it's Robusta.
Yeah.
And the Robusta doesn't need elevation to grow. It's a hardier crop.
Okay.
It's resistance to diseases. The problem with Robusta, it has twice the caffeine as Arabica.
Wow.
So whenever people think they can't drink coffee because they get the jitters or heart palpitations, it's because they're drinking Robusta and they don't know.
Okay.
People don't know there's different coffees
Yeah.
and there's different levels of caffeine. And
Yeah.
that's been my mission, educating people about that. And I have a lot of people came to me and said, oh, I can't drink coffee, I'm too sensitive. I said,
Yeah.
what kind of coffee are you drinking? Oh, I don't know. Well, try Arabica. And then I'd say, oh, feels good, I can drink it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think that they can't drink coffee because most of the coffee here, I'd say at least 95% of the coffee here is what's called native coffee, which is the same as Robusta.
Yeah.
And it's problematic for
Yeah,
some people.
that's why me too. I that's the reason why I don't drink much,
Right.
because I usually get that too.
Right.
But when I have your coffee, like, oh, this is actually like I can feel it's strong,
Right.
but it's not strong in my body.
Exactly.
You get what I mean?
It's not caffeine strong.
Yeah.
It's like, but there's
There's an effect, but it's
Right.
not.
and when it's fresh roasted,
Yeah.
that effect is enhanced because all of those elements, those substances, are still intact. So when coffee, after roasting, it deteriorates rapidly. So a lot of these chemicals, these substances in the form of gases, are leaving the
Already.
coffee bean, and people aren't being able to take advantage of that. And that's why the big roasters, they put this coffee in bags that have one-way valves.
Okay.
And that one-way valve is designed so the bag doesn't blow up because the
Yeah.
coffee is emitting these gases. It goes out.
Okay.
But that's the part that you want.
That's a good one.
That's
the
the good part, right? And so a lot of the coffee on the store shelves, it's old. It doesn't have that kind of thing. So when you fresh roast and you try it, it's you get the caffeine, but you also get other substances that affect the brain in positive ways. Alertness, clarity, motivation, happiness. There's just so many different things. But the big companies really, they don't focus on that. They only talk about caffeine because their coffee only has the caffeine.
Yeah.
But
That's the thing.
one thing I've wanted to do is have a lab, open a lab, and find out what are the exact chemicals in the coffee. No one's really taken the time to take the fresh roasted coffee and disseminate it and figure out what exactly are the substances in there and how they're affecting us.
You mentioned in your TEDx talk, guys, I'm going to put on the link below his TEDx talk because I learned a lot in that talk. And you were saying about a study that is not studying the freshly roasted coffee.
Right.
Can you
Right.
elaborate on
Yeah,
that
so
one?
there's been many studies about coffee.
Yeah.
It says it increases longevity. It's actually healthy. It's good. But what they're studying is not fresh roasted coffee. They're studying people who drink coffee and who report the results of that. So they're missing that point. But I think it's because the biggest companies, coffee companies, they don't want people to know that, because that means
Oh.
all of the stuff that they're selling in the store is
not-
old. It's not fresh.
Yeah.
And if people realize that, which I'm trying to educate people in trying the fresh roasted coffee. We also provide fresh roasted coffee beans, and I say use it right away. There's this myth out there that's called coffee resting. That coffee must rest after roasting. That
How
is
long should it be consumed?
so. This is really interesting because when I started in coffee 20 years ago,
20 years ago.
20 years ago, the thinking was that it had to rest for weeks, if not a month. For weeks, if not a month.
That's what I heard, yeah.
But I've seen that time now. That time has been decreasing as smaller roasters has been coming and saying, "Wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense." So now that time has decreased to 3 days to a week. I mean, that's a
Okay.
dramatic change.
Yeah.
You know, so they're adapting to more fresh roasted coffee on the market, and trying to kind of save face. You know, so I've seen this idea about coffee. I mean, coffee's been around for over 1,000 years, 1,200 years. Wouldn't they know everything about coffee up to this point? You'd think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's not the case at all. I think they're missing this big part of it.
Yeah.
And it's very simple. It's easy to be able to roast yourself. Indigenous cultures do it. They do it in a pan over a stove, you know, like I say in my TEDx talk.
Yeah.
Ethiopia is considered the birthplace of coffee.
Yeah, they do.
And I know people who go to Ethiopia, they say, "Oh, I had the best coffee of my life." Because they sit down, they have something called the Ethiopian coffee ceremony, where they roast, grind, and brew right there for you.
Wow.
Right? So they take the green coffee that's grown there in Ethiopia, they're roasting it fresh. Now, this takes a long time. 3 hours.
My gosh.
So you're there for a ceremony, but it's 3 hours long. You're going to do that every day. People have to work, right?
Yes.
So my idea was, I love that idea, roast, grind, and brew. So let me copy that, but with today's machines.
Yeah.
I realized I could do that in 10 to 15 minutes.
That's
People can have that same experience in 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah, and do it as a ritual every day. And I started to do that, to meditate with my coffee, and it was really like, it was amazing. Yeah.
That's amazing. But when did you start having this passion of finding out coffee? Because, my God, you're the first person that I've met who can talk a lot about coffee and has a lot of knowledge about it. When did you start having this?
I started like early 2000s because I was drinking coffee.
Okay.
And originally, actually growing up, I thought I was too sensitive to caffeine, that I couldn't have it.
Oh,
because it was
really?
Robusta. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but I liked the taste of coffee, and I started to try to be a better barista, make a better cup of coffee.
Okay.
So initially, I thought just all about the equipment, right?
Okay.
Need a big espresso machine, need a big grinder, I mean, that's what it feels like, because when you go to a cafe, that's what they have, right?
Yeah.
And I tried that, and I got up to a certain point, got up to a certain level, because I was buying the same coffee
Okay.
in Costco in the U.S., buying big bags of already roasted coffee. And I didn't realize there was a difference because they all tasted about the same. I could have maybe from 3 or 4 different places that roasters, including Starbucks, including some of the others, but it all tasted about the same.
Yeah.
And then I share this in my TEDx talk. And then one day I was with my friends, and they gave me this bag, this little baggie, plastic baggie.
Yeah.
And it said it was fresh roasted coffee. They roasted in their hot air popcorn popper at home.
Popcorn popper.
Yeah, a hot air popcorn popper,
Wow.
which is a way you can roast coffee.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard of that. I didn't know what that was about.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, well, thanks. And then
And then-
the next morning, I was out of coffee. I was out of my regular coffee, but I remember I had this bag of the fresh roasted.
Okay.
Right? So I put that through the machine. I ground it, put it through the machine, made that cup. I took the first sip. I
sip.
made it the same way I always do.
Okay.
Right? And I took that first sip, and I was just, whoa.
The difference,
This was like, this was the breakthrough.
Okay.
Yeah, I had an epiphany. Wow, this was really amazing coffee. I could feel it right away.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to. I was like shaking. I was like, oh my! It felt like I found the gold at the end of the at the end of the rainbow. Yeah. It was like,
Yeah.
oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's where it started.
That's where it started. And then I
Okay.
said, oh, how can I duplicate this?
Yeah.
And I did some research and found out that a lot of people were roasting coffee in different ways. And one of those ways was on a barbecue grill.
Barbecue grill
Yeah.
too.
With a little drum, and I got a chicken rotisserie motor. It's like this little, you know what, tenth of a horsepower motor or something like that. You know,
Okay.
that slowly turned that drum, right?
Oh.
So I tried it on my barbecue grill, and it was very uneven, you know, because it wasn't turning it fast enough.
Okay.
But still, when I tried
But
that
still
coffee,
good.
it was still amazing. So I knew I was onto something. I knew I would only get better and better and better.
Okay.
Right?
The process matters, no?
Oh yeah. When you're, you know, it's like what I've come to learn. It's like any food, fruits,
Yes.
juices, anything, and that's what we're doing here. Also, we do fresh juices. I have a slow masticating juicer.
Ah, you also have that.
Oh,
Okay.
wow, what a difference. You know, oranges, apples, apple ginger we make.
Okay.
We'll make pineapple, whatever's in season.
Okay.
We do the slow juices, not the
Not the
fast one, because that tends to oxidize and kill a lot of the substances.
Small
Same type of thing.
details
Yes,
like that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really makes a difference. So we try to do that throughout everything that we offer here. Make it as fresh as possible, the best ingredients that we can get, and make it pure. You know, and let people be the judge. People can tell. You can tell
of
right
course.
away. Yeah.
Of course.
Especially here in the Philippines, because there's a lot of syrups and powders and stuff like that you use. That's all
exactly.
processed.
Even the honey is not real
Right.
honey. It's syrup.
Yeah.
It's hard to find a real one.
That's right. Yeah. So, it's been. It's led me. The fresh roasted coffee has led me to look at other things that we're consuming.
Yeah.
And it's so important that we consume things that are healthy for our bodies, for our mind, for our whole being.
That's really amazing. And you're able to discover as well that the process has something to do with the chemicals being released, how much nutrients has gone, you know,
Right.
just with the process.
Yeah, and when you look at indigenous cultures, you know, what are they doing? They're using everything natural.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? They're taking things from the trees. They're taking, you know, all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we have to return to, because there's so much processed food now, and it's become so affordable for so many.
Exactly.
That's all that pretty much they're buying, but it's poison.
Exactly.
It really, over the long haul, it's
Yeah.
something that is really not healthy.
Yeah, and that's really amazing, you know, because it's getting out of hand actually, the processed foods everywhere, and there's a lot of diseases going on.
And obesity,
you know?
I mean, you see
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And even just coffee is not even it's supposed to be like something that is a go-to, but then a lot of people stop it because of the effects that they're having from lack of knowledge about the coffee as well.
Yeah.
So go back to your coffee. I would like to emphasize that you have made your own machine.
Yes, my own
For the
roasting
freshly
machine. Oh yeah.
roasted,
Oh yeah. So let me go back to
Tell us
that.
about that.
Okay, great. So I was using my barbecue grill. This is in Southern Oregon. I was living.
The normal barbecue grill.
Yeah.
Okay.
4-burner, but big barbecue grill.
Okay.
Right, and I had this real small drum, and that little slow motor turning this
Oh
drum.
my gosh!
And
How
so-
long were you doing that?
Well,
the first time.
the first few times, I started to share my coffee with my friends.
Okay.
And I had one friend, and this guy is really an inventor kind of guy. He drives and works on like big trucks, right? So he had this huge warehouse, you know, in the middle of the country. And and he was a good friend of mine. shared my coffee. He couldn't believe how good it was. And he told me, he says, I got to come over and see what you're doing, because this coffee is like, I can't believe how good it is. And he came over and he looked at my barbecue grill and this little drum, you know, and he kind of laughed. He said, you are being way too inefficient. You're using way too much propane, you know, for what you're getting out of it. And, you know, he said, let's invent let's create a custom roaster for you.
Okay.
This winter, you know, in my garage and stuff.
Okay.
And all we needed to get was a stainless steel bending machine, you know, to be able to do it.
Okay.
So we were going to pretty much create our own barbecue with a top, but with a bigger drum, with a bigger motor, something that I could do more volume on.
Okay.
And we could do with this, the first prototype of this roaster, we could do 5 pounds. So it's about 2.5 kilos.
2.5 kilos. Okay.
Yeah, and that was enough to be able to do that for that time being, because I was just building my business.
Yeah.
So it went. And I have a picture of it, actually.
Yeah, I'd like to see the picture.
Of our first, prototype of the roaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be amazing to see.
And it was interesting because I was in Southern Oregon, and during that time, this was in the early 2000s, there was a lot of people using biodiesel for diesel vehicles.
Okay.
And pretty much what that is cooking oil.
Oh.
So they were collecting old cooking oil from these restaurants and these businesses, cleaning it up, and then reselling it as fuel.
I see.
And I had an old used Chevy van.
Okay.
Right, that I had cleared out. I customized it. And the idea was to put a deep cell battery on the van, put my roaster on there, and then I could stop by anywhere. I was mobile. It's like a mobile roasting.
Yeah, it's like a mobile roasting.
Yeah.
So every time you drive, you're roasting coffee.
Yeah. And I put logos on the side, and my business was called Wake Up. So do you see that?
This one.
That one. That was my first company, a coffee company, with the logo.
Okay.
And I was roasting coffee and sharing it with people, and it wasn't profitable. I was barely making expenses, but it was a test run. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, so I knew that I had to, you know, test the market and look at the long term. I'm not going to do this for 3 months and decide it doesn't work and then forget about it. You know, I knew that this idea had legs, you know, and I could do this anywhere because nobody else was doing it. So I decided that I would try to make the most efficient process in this roasting as I could. And part of that process is making my cold brew coffee.
Okay.
Right? So this is what cold brew is about. And cold brew coffee, the way that's made is you take a coarse grind and you let it sit in room, not hot water, but room temperature or cold water.
Okay.
For my recipe is 20 hours.
Oh.
The grounds just sit there in the water for 20 hours.
Okay.
And it extracts this coffee. It's strong, but it has 70% less acid.
Okay.
And it's not bitter tasting. It's really smooth. And the key part of it is once you bottle it and put it in the refrigerator, it stays fresh without change for 3 weeks.
Wow.
So one of my things in the beginning was, okay, if I roast a bunch of coffee and I have leftover coffee, you know, I was sweating bullets because it's like every day this coffee wasn't being used.
Yeah.
I know I'm losing the essence of, you know, what I'm trying to preserve.
Yeah.
Right? Every day. So I had feelings about that.
Wow.
But once I discovered this cold brew process, I said, oh, okay. So I can take coffee that's been roasted, maybe 2 or 3 days old, right? Make my cold brew.
Cold brew.
Now it's fresh for 3 weeks in the refrigerator.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it gave me a whole new timeline And what I was doing was bottling that and selling the cold brew coffee. Because the great thing about the cold brew coffee, it's in the refrigerator, and you can either drink it cold or heat it up.
Okay, you can even heat it up and
It's
still
a
the
beautiful, smooth cup of coffee.
Okay.
And this is the coffee I drink every day at home. I have cold brew. I don't need equipment at home. I don't need to redo the whole process. I just have to take that, heat it up. It's good to go. It's really, really.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You see,
So it kind of gave me the whole cycle of how I can do this business, keep it as fresh as possible. And that was really important, without any waste.
Yeah, without any waste as well. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot. And I'm sure you guys have learned a lot at this moment. So one thing that I really love about was this one that I'm drinking has coconut
milk.
flavor, coconut milk on this one.
It's fresh coconut milk.
Fresh coconut
We make
milk.
our coconut milk the same
also
as we
make
do
it-
everything,
okay.
fresh every day.
Everything is fresh here, guys.
We buy the freshly shaved coconut,
Okay.
right? And we use per coconut we use 1 glass of water,
Yeah.
right? And we
then
squeeze
you
that
squeeze-
through a bag,
Okay.
and makes the coconut milk.
Fresh.
And so fresh, because after 24 hours, it's not good anymore. It's separated. It's not good. So at the end of the day, we have to throw out whatever we have
whatever
left
you have
over.
for the coconut.
Yeah.
Aw.
But
But
still, using the fresh coconut milk
it's
has really been a game changer here in the Philippines. In Bali, that was our best seller. They use coconut milk for everything in Bali, for cooking, for everything.
I see.
I came here, and I was amazed. No one's using coconut milk with the coffee.
Yeah. This is the first.
Right. And so many Filipinos, they came, oh, I never tried it with coconut. Really?
Yeah.
It's so abundant, you know? And maybe people think that because they haven't tried coconut milk, the UHT, that's not even in the refrigerator. It's in those paper kind of cartons, right? And but it has preservatives and stuff like that. We don't want to use any of that, so we have to make it fresh every day. But it goes really well with the coffee. It doesn't overpower it. It mixes pretty well. The thing about alternative milks like almond milk, cashew milk, soy milk, it doesn't mix well with the coffee. So when you heat that up and put it in the coffee, you get these balls kind of thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't mix well.
Yeah,
but the
doesn't
coconut milk
it
mixes well.
so well.
Yeah.
And also, what about for those lactose intolerant? Do you think? Because I am lactose intolerant, I don't put milk on, but this one I don't have any problem.
It works.
It works. It works with me. I didn't get the the hyperacidity when I drink it.
Right.
So it's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's what is your plan? You have like he has what we call here the freak. It stands for freshly roasted everyday Arabica coffee. Cafe.
Now,
cafe.
in Bali, it was still Freak. Still a similar logo.
Similar logo.
But
okay.
The acronym stood for something else.
What was it?
It was Fresh Roasted Enak, E-N-A-K, which is the Indonesian word for delicious.
Okay.
Arabica from Kintamani. Kintamani is a big volcano where our coffee was from. I was able to source in Bali all the coffee from the volcano, and my partner there was a coffee farmer.
Okay.
And he grew the coffee, and so we used only local coffee. We didn't import the coffee.
Okay.
So here I wanted to do the same thing.
Okay.
But I found that I really couldn't, because there's small farms here, and it was very hard to get consistent quality coffee, and it was more expensive.
I see.
It's more expensive for me to buy Arabica grown here than it is
in Bali.
In Bali, or to buy Arabica that's been shipped from Costa Rica, from Guatemala, from Central and South America. Yeah, it's more expensive from here.
I see.
And I think it's because they just don't have the plantations. It's mostly small farms. So that's why I want to grow my own. And this is so far we've just done a sample. 600 trees is not enough to
not yet,
make.
no?
Yeah, so I need to probably grow. I can do 1,000 trees per hectare.
Okay.
So I think I need to grow another 5,000.
Okay.
5,000 trees. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But then there's really like you're putting a solution to a problem.
Yes,
here.
exactly. So then I'm making Wow.
There will be a
Then
demand,
yeah,
especially
I think so.
after people are going to be educated, you know?
Yeah, I think so. And the Liberica is unique enough. It has this really earthy coffee taste that Arabica doesn't have, that Robusta doesn't have. It's really unique and distinct.
Okay.
And there's a lot of people who really like that deep, rich coffee taste. You know, they like a maybe darker roast so they can taste that kind of bitterness kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the Liberica, you get that, but without the added caffeine. So the nice thing about the Liberica, it has the same caffeine content as the Arabica.
Okay.
And only 1% of the world's supply right now is Liberica.
Oh.
So I think it's has a lot of potential for demand.
Yeah.
There's only one company in the U.S. that has Liberica at all.
Oh my gosh.
It's in New Orleans, and it's a Filipino-owned company.
Oh.
So they're obviously getting the Liberica from here.
From here.
Right. And they're selling it for, I mean, the price is like 5 or 6 times more
Oh my gosh.
than
because
Arabica.
It's so common
because it's really hard to get, and they have to import it.
There's a really
So
big potential.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential for Liberica. Yeah, I'm excited about that.
That's amazing. I think you're in the right place too.
Yeah, I think so.
Like in the place of your. But hey, how did you meet Janice? By the way, I want to know the love story.
Janice and I met online in 2014.
Okay, way back 2014.
Yeah,
I see.
and I think it was easier to meet people
Way back then.
Because now it's you know, you kind of don't, there's a lot of scammers and you don't know who you're kind of meeting. And we just chatted online, and I was in Bali at the time, so it was pretty easy for me to fly here to meet her.
Okay.
Yeah, and
see.
and first meeting was 2015, and
Oh, so you were
pretty much.
LDR for a year before you met.
maybe 6 months.
6 months.
Maybe
Okay.
6 months. And yeah, we've been together ever since. Yeah, so I don't have any dating experience here in the Philippines. It's just one person,
Janice, yeah.
just Janice.
But you nailed the right one.
Yeah, and it didn't start out so easy because she didn't believe that I was coming, that I was flying here.
Okay.
So she was supposed to meet me at the airport.
And she
Right,
didn't?
I get to the airport. She's not here.
there. Oh my god.
I call her up. Oh, okay. I'm on the way. She was still in Monjuyo. Hadn't even gotten a bus yet.
No
Yeah.
way.
So I waited. It took about 2 hours for her to
Oh my
finally come.
god. She didn't
But then-
believe you were coming,
Yeah.
or you were surprising her.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
yeah.
That's unique
Yeah.
in a way.
So, but she's great. I love her family. Big family. She has 9 siblings, and yeah, she's amazing. She has some. I was thinking about it recently. The way she organizes things and manages everything, does this whole business.
Yeah.
She has skills of the best CEOs, I think,
That's
because
amazing.
she can delegate and control things.
Wow.
And really amazing, much better than I could ever do.
I see.
And I think that's cultural. I think it's because in the family that you have to take care of the younger siblings.
Yeah.
You know, and you're
Yeah.
expected to. And I see how that strong family here in the Philippines is really the secret to living
Yeah.
here and growing up here. There's a lot of benefits with that. In the U.S. and the West, you hardly know, your first, maybe second cousins. Here, they have a.
I see.
You
But
have
here
a
we know
family
everyone.
reunion, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4. Everywhere she
Exactly.
goes, oh, that's a cousin. That's a cousin. That's a cousin.
It's a whole city.
Yeah.
So there's a family reunion.
It's
And you're
amazing.
enjoying that.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Because
Yeah.
some of the expats are actually negative about it. That they were like, you're gonna feed the whole family and stuff like that.
Well, I think I'm lucky because her family, they're just so supportive. They never ask for anything.
That's
And-
amazing.
And I think I've heard stories of people that they don't feel the same way. But
Yeah.
I think it probably is attitude also, and what are you there for? Because I love being around and contributing to the family. Like, we go to the white sandbars. They don't have a chance to go. Okay, come along.
Yeah, I've seen that. You're enjoying it in your post. That's really good. And you even mentioned that they're good in organizing stuff. We Filipinos likes to organize
amazing. Jenna, she woke up 3 a.m. We're not leaving till 7 a.m. 3 a.m. She's there with her siblings and they're cooking and they're getting everything together and they have everything organized. It's amazing.
It's amazing. You're having a blast on your birthday. Oh, how old are you already?
Yes.
How young are you now?
Yeah, 65. I just turned. Well, actually, tomorrow is my official birthday, February 25th. I'll be 65.
You had the pre-birthday celebration with the family.
Yeah. Well, because her grandma is 95, just turned 95 on February 20th.
Oh my God.
So we have 5 days in between. So we do it together. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. You're blending well here.
Yeah.
So, what is your best advice for the expats out there who are looking for Filipinas like Janice?
I think it works best if they're family of people that they already know. Like if a friend of mine a common friend would meet Janice or somebody. I mean, I think there's a lot of beautiful young Filipinos who want to be with foreigners. Because as a foreigner, I see we're trained to treat our women, our partners, respectfully and
be the masculine.
Yeah, exactly. And there is no more masculine in the West.
We've
been emasculated. Really,
my gosh.
it's the women who are taking over, and here it's really nice because you really get to feel like be in your masculine energy.
Yeah.
So I think my observation is that most people who have long-lasting relationships, a friend of a friend, there's a connection there, or even a family member.
Okay, there's a connection with common friends or someone that you know. I think that's what you're trying to say. Like, it's the best way, or
I think that's the best way because then you know that their integrity and their morals are really good. You know the family.
Okay. That's good. That's a very good advice. Thank you. And before we go, what is the best advice for all coffee lovers out there?
Try the fresh roasted. Roast, grind, and brew. And however you can do that, it will change your coffee experience. And that could be just buying fresh roasted coffee. We have a lot of customers come in. We roast
fresh roast
special for customers. They want a certain roast. We can do a specific roast for them because we're small enough.
What do you mean specific roast?
Well, like this customer is just in who he wants a little bit darker roast, right? So he wants like a medium dark roast.
Okay, so you can even do that
Oh
too.
yeah, we can do that.
That's interesting.
Customizing that roast.
Okay.
Whereas most coffee shops you go into, you get what they have. They're going to have it in the bag. It's going to be on the shelf.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't even have roast dates on the bag, and they use a best before date.
Yeah,
and that best before date is 2 years from when it was roasted. I mean, it's incredible to me. It's like fresh bread out of the oven. You're going to let that sit for 2 years if it didn't, if it didn't go moldy. No, of course not. And the chemical elements are so strong in the fresh roasted coffee. So I'd say either roast your own, which is it's a process. You can learn how to do it, and I think you become closer to coffee when you roast your own. I have a lot of people who I've helped. They roast just in a wok on a stove. They get their green coffee. We also support that. We'll sell green coffee for people to roast their own, and they're experiencing what that's like. They become closer. When you see that coffee smoke and you hear it crack and you're smelling it and you're doing that whole process, it's really educational. You really understand coffee a lot more, the experience of it, So I'd say, roast grind, and once it's roasted and cool to room temperature, use it right away. Grind it, and you only grind as much as you need.
Okay.
Because if you grind more and have it the next day, in 2 hours, that coffee that you ground is the same as if that coffee sat for 7 days after roasting.
Wow.
It oxidizes instantly.
Oxidizes instantly
Yeah,
in
it's
2
exposed
hours.
to the oxygen.
Wow.
So you don't want to do that. You want to get the freshly roasted coffee. You want to grind and then use what you grind right away to brew. And it doesn't matter how you brew. You can brew the French press. You can brew a stronger coffee with a mocha pot, also called stovetop espresso.
Okay.
And I teach people, and we sell some of that equipment as well.
Okay.
And I think eventually I'll probably teach.
You should have a coffee workshop.
Yeah, coffee.
Because this is really very, very interesting to know. Like these details here that I'm learning right now, that you're learning right now, guys. It's just amazing, and especially if you're going to demonstrate that.
Yeah.
And you know the difference between a coffee that is in the shelf for, you know, the usual coffee and your coffee. That'll be amazing. Do a workshop.
And I can do it. It's really very simple to demonstrate the freshness through our senses. It's
This is really different.
yeah.
It hits differently. It's really different. I cannot describe it. Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, thank you so much, Asher, for all of this amazing information about coffee. And of course, I'm very, very happy to have you in my channel. And why don't you invite people to come to your place and in Valencia?
Yeah. So where you can find us on Google Maps. Freak, Freak. And we are in the Valencia Food Park. We have 2 locations at the Valencia Food Park. And there's plenty of seating in the back. We just have small seating within these 2 places. But there's plenty of seating in the back.
Yeah, we can sit in the back too. Okay, that's good. I'm going to show around the place.
And we have groups. We have groups that come, and some drink coffee, some drink our fresh juices.
Yeah, the fresh juices too. I'm gonna try that fresh juice right now because they also cold pressed, like the one that you mentioned to me that you don't like grind it.
Yeah, the orange.
Slowly.
We have orange. We have beetroot, apple.
Beetroot.
We do apple ginger. That's really good.
Ooh.
And we have yellow watermelon. We do watermelon juice too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna get
Really
some
good
of
stuff.
that. Yeah, great stuff, guys. So thank you so much, Asher.
Thank you.
So happy to have you in my channel.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you guys soon. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. And yeah, I'm gonna show around his shop, which is actually very near to the Valencia Plaza. If you don't know the Valencia Food Park, it's right next to the Valencia Plaza. It's very easy to find. So I'm also gonna tour you around in his shop. So thank you so much. Bye. Have a great day or night wherever you are in the planet. Bye-bye.